Hey guys, welcome back. We are now into part 9, I think. As we're getting into it, I'm losing track. But now we've got all the elements of, or basic elements, not all of them, but basic elements of control, understanding how to control the body standing, transitioning into the floor, then high tackles and low tackles, where the pros and cons are from each of those, and filling those in as far as that goes. Now we're going to start talking about the basic idea of, a lot of people like restraint when they talk about this stuff, because it's easier to tell somebody like, hey, just tackle the murderous criminal down into the ground and then just hold him there until the good guys show up. Well, most of us that train know that holding somebody and restraining them into the floor is not easy to do, especially if they don't want to be held, especially if they're my size, especially if they have any training, especially if they're bigger, holy crap. So one of the things we want to start looking for is striking, now starting to use impact. Whether it's me physically striking him, whether it's me using the ground to strike the hands and get the gun to get away from it, whatever it is. It's just learning to generate force. Where that is most likely going to happen is going to be down on the ground. The realities of us being focused on a gun in a standing position in a fight and control, and again, without a lot of training and under a lot of stress, being able to really like fine-tune, find some striking and not lose position of control. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's a lot harder than a lot of people want it to be. So where this usually ends up happening is third leverage points. I've pinned them up against a wall, or I've gotten them successfully down to the floor. Now I can really pin the gun and I can start to strike with one hand or the other. So how we get to the floor doesn't really matter. Let's say that I went for my high tackle, boom, I collapsed, we went down to the ground, and I started to find myself into position of control as far as things go here. So I'm cross body, my hips are down, I'm getting good elevation. Now I want to start hitting in some form or fashion. Like I said, there's no necessarily rules to this stuff, there's just basic concepts. If I'm really wanting to get the gun and I'm trying to pry the gun and it's not going anywhere, there's nothing saying I can't start bashing his hands into the concrete, into the ground to try to get that to jar free. Maybe as we're here, we're fighting over it, maybe I feel like I might be losing control, or maybe he's focusing so much on gripping it, I want him to start changing where his attention is. So now, right from this position, being this specific context, now I have maybe elbows to the head. I have body weight down over top of the gun. I feel like I can chip my elbow back towards his head a little bit and make him get defensive about that. Even if he just starts trying to like look down towards the floor and things like that, he's not pushing back into me. So I've established a pretty good goal. If he's pushing back into me to start, and I start blasting him in the head, he starts turning down. If I can get him to go belly down, maybe I control a little bit better. Even if I start going here, maybe he starts to take his support hand away and starts to cover his head a little bit if he can. Well, that's good. Now instead of fighting two hands, I'm only fighting one. Maybe now I can start to bash in. Maybe I can get that gun, I can take it away, right? Let's say the gun's already out of play. Now I'm just trying to find things to aggressively break. When we go to hit things and we implement striking, we're looking for essentially two objectives. To safely get the gun away from him in some form or fashion, and then to either take away his will or his ability to fight, his ability to move from there. So if I go to hit him, I'm not like hitting him. I'm looking to break stuff. If I'm gonna hit him, I'm looking to shatter his orbital, break his jaw, hit him in the trach so he can't breathe. If I'm exposed into ribs, I'm not hitting the ribs to knock the wind out of him. I'm hitting it with the intent of breaking them, fracturing them, really taking and making it hard for him to be able to breathe. If he's got, holding onto the gun and his arms are extended in some form or fashion, and I feel like I can jam down and bust over top of an elbow because of the angle of position, I'll do that, all that kind of stuff. But it's finding the idea that I have to control and still make sure I'm not getting shot, and then from whatever that position is, I have to maintain and find striking. And that position will change. If we keep ending in this kind of crossbody position, it's more for safety and demonstration purposes. But let's say he's flat out belly down. And now he's belly down, I'm on the back of his head. Well, maybe now I'm just raining elbows on the back of his neck, taking his head, smashing it into the floor, whatever I want to do as far as that goes. Maybe I'm still controlling here and I'm spiking elbows down and in, right? Maybe we found ourselves in more of like a mount position where he's on his back and I've got all of this pressure up over top here. Maybe I'm taking my head and I'm bashing the shit out of his head, trying to break his nose from that position as we go in. Or maybe I can free a hand up and start to drive fingers into the head, drive my elbow down and in, maybe even go to hand chokes where I'm crushing into the trach. I'm trying to give him something else to think about, but it's not a like, ooh, I'm hitting you. I'm trying to break shit, right? So if I go to gouge an eye, it's not this to gouge an eye. I'm ripping at whatever the hell I can get a hold of. If he's got beautiful, luscious hair, I'm grabbing onto it and I'm pulling it in opposite directions. I'm smashing shit. I'm trying to break joints. I'm biting fucking fingers off. I'm being as aggressive as possible. But I have to be able to do that. I have to have either the time, the context, or the control, essentially, to actually be able to strike. So we spend a lot of time kind of drilling different positions on the floor, and we'll do this stuff with pad work, where I'll just give them a pad and go, okay, cool, you're in mount, boom, 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 you're bashing. Now you're acting like you're pinning a gun, and you're learning to control from those different positions. And now, okay, you're kind of in like a crossbody side position where you're controlling the weapon and controlling the gun and trying to figure out different spots to actually strike and hit from there. But all we're teaching them to do is generate force. We're not giving them specific strikes. There's no A, B, C, D to this stuff. There's no building a game plan, like just follow this simple path. It's don't get fucking shot or stabbed if we're talking about getting stabbed. If you find yourself in a position of control and you can strike, awesome. Use your striking to maintain control or get the weapon away. Use your control to open up striking, and you'll start to figure those things out. So this is the way we start introducing striking, and we like to do this with pad work. We like to do this, yes, mimicking safely with partners, and we especially like to do this with high gear helmets on. High gear helmets where I can really start to put impact down on the areas I'm looking to actually target into the face, maybe put them in a chest plate and allow to go for like the side ribs and things like that. So just the idea of implementing striking into this, the mindset behind it as far as generating force and going in. And then we'll kind of like, dovetail this and pull this all here together in the next video or two. So see you guys next time.